Behind home plate, we bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your daily listening host, Matt Soroka. As always, I'm joined by the butt lover, Josh Roca.
And we suck again.
Hey, Josh, a few questions for you to start the show.
Yes.
Question one, have you tried my frozen Pop-Tart yet?
No, I have not. I see what you're doing. You're saying, let's avoid the Oreo talk. Okay.
Question number two. I just heard you watch movies. I don't watch movies. This season for the Orioles have been a horror show enough. But I heard people talking about two critics came on NPR and they asked them to rate this movie 1 through 10, and they gave it like 30, like off the charts, both of them.
What movie?
It's called Sinners. Are you aware of this movie?
I am aware of it. I have not seen it. I am aware of it because there was some type of like controversy.
This is the first even heard of it.
About but it's something about like there's some type of controversy around like theaters or something and how it'll change.
Oh, they said I don't know. They said the movie is so popular it's going back in IMAX after leaving IMAX. I don't know what that means. All right, next question, Josh. Was Justin Tucker he fired for football reasons or non-football reasons?
Yeah. When you are a billion-dollar corporation that runs football, you can justify what car you drive that morning to be a football reason. The question, they said a football reason. They did not say an on-the-field issue. Now, you can also say he sucked last year, and that doesn't help.
He had struggles. Yeah, last year he was really bad from long distance.
Right.
I think that was like it was. Even if there wasn't drama, there was going to be a battle.
There was going to be a battle either way.
Preseason, yeah.
But the drama. Yeah, I mean, he's out. Don't tell me it's for football field play. Don't tell me it's about stuff on the field when the investigation's not finished yet.
Yeah. Well, maybe the massages were perhaps football related. So it was in there for football reasons, and thus it is football related.
Right. It is football related, as in they fired their kicker.
Yeah, who was a football player.
Who played football, yes.
Yeah. So it was a football decision.
Yes.
And now they need a new kicker of the football. Yeah.
Did you want to take this straight to baseball?
Did you have a connection straight to kicking footballs to okay?
I can.
I'm fascinated to see where you're going with this.
Well, because is it still DeCostas over with the Ravens?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, So he came out and said that this is a football decision,
right?
And not necessarily off the field stuff. He just had a football decision,
right?
Just like when this morning on 105.7 The Fan, when Ed Norris asked Mike Elias, "Is manager Brandon Hyde's job safe?" Did you see this question?
No, I did not see the question, nor did I see the response. Look at you checking in on 105.7.
The response is...
Were you listening live when this, or you heard a replay?
No, I saw the transcript.
I would have been impressed if you're listening to 105.7 live.
No, I'm not the biggest Ed Norris fan.
Okay.
You
like his politics, just not his sports. Yeah, go ahead.
My problem is that I watched him get the job. That I was a daily 105.7 The Fan listener when it was out to lunch with Big O and Dukes, and Ed Norris would call in once a week from prison.
Right.
And
his story is kind of fascinating. Yeah.
His story is, but they worked his weekly calls from prison into, we will fire Big O and Dukes, and it'll be out to lunch with Ed Norris.
Oh, I didn't realize he took Big O and Duke's job.
He did. Straight from prison.
So yeah, so you have some history there.
And Chad's a friend, so
Yeah.
that's why I don't like Ed Norris.
Yeah,
But
there was ever only one great show in all those years of 105.7, and they're still looking for another great show. I assume there's only ever one great show on that channel anyway.
Well, this was before sports.
Okay, yeah.
This was before it was sports.
Okay, yeah. There's only been one great sports show on that channel.
Yeah. Jeremy and Scott
Garceau.
Garceau.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
that
That's
was the
the
only
list.
good show.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah.
here's-
So what did Mike Elias say, Judge? And
Yeah.
now, Judge, I can't even. I don't know how you sit through. I was watching last night the news conference with Mike Elias after the game. I mean,
Yes.
not Mike Elias with
Oh, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it.
It really is. Every interview now with him, you just want to punch his face. You do.
You do. See,
Brandon Hyde's face. Now you've converted me.
this is a victory. You have converted me.
Like, I don't want to fire him, but I do want like just one shot at his face after a
think-
9-1 loss and he says something stupid.
I think you're right. A new promotion. A couple years ago, they did the Brandon Hyde bobblehead. Let's inflate the head a little bit more and give away Brandon Hyde punching bags.
Yeah.
Little
Or maybe
death cells
those
punching bags.
those giant fists that you can put a beer in there. Remember they
the
sell
the
those.
Hulk fist.
Yeah, the Hulk fists. Maybe some kind of combo of the Hulk fists on one hand and Brandon Hyde beanbag or something. And
Oh, I got it.
smash them.
Brandon Hyde,
Yeah.
Mike Elias. You smash them together.
You smash them together. Yeah, and you
Yes.
can watch their faces kind of crumple up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Yeah, so what did Mike Elias say about his manager, Brandon Hyde?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Mike Elias said, yeah, this is not something that the manager is impacting on the team. I think we've got a rotation that's ranking towards the bottom of the MLB right now. I don't think that's going to be the case forever, but we've started off with really bad pitching. And we've got guys on the IL. We do have hitters that are frustratingly underperforming right now. The lineup is not clicking the way it's got to be right now. I think that's something we've got to figure out internally, and we're doing that. But right now, this is an issue of not pitching well night to night and not being healthy enough, and then not getting our guys to click. So it's really the whole organization, and that obviously starts with me, and we're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong
He's
in
not
anything he
wrong,
says.
except
The
for the very
pitching does
beginning.
stink. The offense isn't
Yes.
clicking. Like that. That's there has been injuries. All that
Yes.
is true.
It's all true.
Yeah.
But to say, hey, this isn't something that involves the manager's responsible for all that.
Right, Josh. If the Orioles lose 100 games 5 years in a row, are you going to just say, well, you know, our pitching stinks, so offense isn't clicking every year? Like at some point, a manager has to have some responsibility over what happens on the field.
If you are a sales manager at a normal business and all your sale guys are having a down month, are you going to go in and say, well, Joe has been sick for a couple weeks, Bob's dog died, so he's down, these guys are struggling, we're having phone issues? Are you going to give all these excuses? No, you're going to fire the sales manager.
Maybe,
And
but I
you're gonna
mean,
bring someone in to someone else in to motivate. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
This team, it would be different if Jordan Westbrook and Colton Cowser were in this lineup. I
Yeah.
think.
yeah, our pitching would be better if Grayson Rodriguez and Zach Eflin were in it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
And we do
And
get
Kyle
Zach
Bradish.
Eflin back this weekend. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Kyle Bradish.
yeah. I guess. I mean, the answer. Listen, the question is, whatever. The answer is dumb, but you understand if he's not going to fire Brandon Hyde today, he's not going to bash him today. You're going to defend him until you fire him. That's how it works. Now, the question I wonder about is, you're right, Josh. That's not what a boss would say about his sales guys,
Right.
unless he was talking to, I don't know, trying to defend it to the media as opposed to the higher ups, right? Like, what conversations is Mike Elias having with David Rubenstein? That's what I want to know. I hope I hope Mike Elias isn't saying the same thing to David Rubenstein, and hope David Rubenstein isn't saying, yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I hope like people are being held accountable.
I would like a head to roll.
I have to feel, Josh, there has to be heated conversations happening in the warehouse. There has to be.
You think?
I think so. I also think like I'm not fully on board with firing Hyde. It's May 7th. I think we need to let this thing play out a little bit more. It's a long baseball season. May is a soft month. I'm actually, Josh, this is a weird slant to take, but I'm feeling optimistic. We have some terrible teams coming up that we're playing, such as the White Sox, the Cardinals, the Nationals, who I know we lost 2 out of 3 of, but whatever. And we have guys coming back, like Zach Eflin. We also have Jordan Westberg is about to do a rehab start in Norfolk this week. Also, right when Zach Eflin comes back, also Tyler O'Neill will be back.
Mm-hmm.
I think all those are upgrades in our roster and will eventually show up on the field. So I think I'm optimistic. I think this offense will get rolling at some point because we have just too much talent. We've seen Gunnar Henderson recently and Jackson Holiday start to get rolling. And I think it's just a matter of time for other guys to get rolling as well.
You do realize that this past weekend we played the Kansas City Royals. They're not barn burners.
Yeah, but not a bad team.
Yesterday and today we're playing the Minnesota Twins. They're a bad team.
Well,
we lost 9-1.
Okay, we can make excuses every game. I would argue that Pablo Lopez, who pitched for the Twins yesterday, is an excellent pitcher. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And Cade Povich is just average Cade Povich. And today we have a guy who, frankly, shouldn't be pitching in the major leagues.
I don't know.
Charlie Morton.
I don't understand Charlie Morton pitching. Like, we put him in the bullpen to kind of try something else, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I guess we're stuck with him. Let's just put him back in the rotation.
I mean, what we witnessed today is him walk, and we're recording this live. It's the 5th
hopefully
inning.
The O's can come back.
Yeah. And somehow he's able to limit the damage. I don't know what the Twinkies only have 3 runs, which is.
But he walked Roger Clemens' son, who's been having a down year.
The 9 hitter, 9 hitter, and I think he hit him. I don't think it was a walk. I think he hit his elbow on that pitch. I had the sound off.
It was ball 4. It was ball 4 either way.
It was ball 4 either way.
It was ball 4. The umpire.
But the point is, it wasn't even close. It wasn't close. Like, it hit him. It was a 3-1 count, and it wasn't even close, which shows he has no idea where the ball's going.
Well, and
then he hangs the curveball to Byron Buxton.
And I don't know if you had the audio on, but Jim Palmer caught him out. And Jim Palmer said he doesn't have any idea where that ball wants to go. He goes, when it's a 3-1 count, you want to throw the ball on the outside of the plate, and he's 2 feet in.
Yeah,
he can't control it.
And earlier in the game, Jim Palmer, when I did have the sound, almost calling the offense out yesterday, saying at some point you have to put the ball in play. Like, you just can't strike out every time. Like, you got to adjust and put the ball in play.
Yesterday was 17 strikeouts out of 33 at bats, right?
It's wild. I don't know the exact number.
I believe it was 33 at bats, which makes it more than half of the at bats were strikeouts.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is.
So that's concerning. We took 2 out of 3 at the Yankees.
Yeah, that was a bright spot. And then we won a tight Friday night game against Kansas City. A
game that lasted 52 minutes, a record speed.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay. And Dean Kramer looked like the best version of Dean Kramer, which is huge.
Good.
And sometimes, Josh, what I've noticed, this is my observation as a sports fan for 36 years. What I've noticed is pitching and hitting, it doesn't sound like it should be, but there is a contagious factor here, right? Where if someone pitches well, the next guy tends to pitch well. Hitting is the same way, where you know how it works. You press, and the harder you try in baseball, almost the worse it becomes. And so things, just ask Chris Davis, things spiral out of control very quickly. But when one guy plays better, it almost relaxes everybody. And hitting and pitching can become contagious when it's done well. And I think we've experienced the negative side of that so far this season for the most part.
Yes. And where I would say that is contagious is more on the negative side, where when pitching is struggling, the batters are pressing harder because they feel like they have to bail out the pitching.
Right. I need to score 6 runs this game, and then I'm going to try harder. Yeah.
Right. When the batters are struggling, the pitchers feel like every pitch matters.
But Josh, I just look at this lineup, and I think we've had some success against really great pitchers. Go back to when we played Hunter Green a month ago. And I look at this lineup, and I look at guys like Westbrook coming back. I look at Holiday. I think he's legit. I think Kersted's is going to figure it out. I think Gunnar is an excellent hitter. I think Adley, at worst, is an average hitter. I think we're too talented up and down to continue to struggle like this. that combined with Eflin coming back and getting healthy a little bit, and our bullpen has been solid. Please don't bring up in this entire podcast. I'm going to say his name now. I don't want his name mentioned again. Danny Coulomb. Don't mention him. But even without him, we have a good bullpen. By the way, I heard just one note of Danny Coulomb, and then I'll get off him and hopefully never mention his name again in my life. I was watching the pregame show yesterday, and they interviewed punchable face Brandon Hyde, and he was going on and on about how good Danny Coulomb was and how
that's
maybe
what makes you want to punch him.
Well, and then this makes me think that Manager Hyde has no power, because Manager Hyde said, like, well, I know he acknowledged that on some of the analytics, his numbers were not the best, but he knew how to get guys out, and he felt confident bringing him in against a righty or a lefty, and he knew he would get the job done. And Hyde said there was not a better locker room guy. He was friends with everybody, including the coaches. And so it's clearly the Danny Coulomb decision to not bring him back was a Michael Elias decision.
Yeah.
Not a Brandon Hyde decision. Yeah. And Brandon Hyde, I think, stood up for his guy, it sounds like, and got overruled.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But hear me out.
Okay.
We used to have a saying with Buck
I always
Showalter.
hear you out, Josh. Even
we
if
used
you're
to have a saying with Buck Showalter. I like our guys.
Yeah.
We like that. I think Brandon Hyde likes all his guys, and that's why he tries to give Jorge Mateo as much playing time as Jackson Holiday as Ramon Laureano.
Yeah, the idea was Buck Showalter liked his stars.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and the other guys were there.
Yeah,
Ryan Flaherty was there.
Yeah,
he liked Manny Machado.
Adam Jones is batting number 3. I don't care if he's hitting 100. He likes Adam Jones,
and I'm okay with that. I think there's too much of I like our guys right now. But I'll tell you, I did like tonight seeing that the Twins pulled their pitcher, pulling a Brandon Hyde. They pulled Richardson at 4 2/3 in.
I love the full
because that is the Brandon Hyde move of moves.
Can someone share? There's a stat for everything in baseball. Can someone show me a stat of Brandon Hyde and how often, what percentage does he pull his starter at 4 2/3? It feels like it's more than normal.
It feels
compared. I want to see it compared to the managers. I feel like it's off the charts.
I feel like 4 2/3 he gets up on that step, or 4 1/3 he gets up on that step, and either he's going out there or someone's holding him back.
Well, Josh, because he pulled his starter, the Twins did, in a key situation in the 5th inning with 2 runners on.
Yes.
First and third. And who did he bring in this key situation?
Danny Coulomb. I wasn't mentioning that part.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I never done.
Yeah, in this high leverage situation. Yeah. All right, but I started that conversation before I got distracted by Danny Coulomb by saying I'm optimistic because we have these guys coming back. The bullpen actually has been pitching well. Felix Bautista looks more and more like his old self.
It looks like there's an extra tick on his fastball every start he gets, or every time he comes in now.
We are rarely in a position where we're up by 1 or 2 or 3 runs in the 8th and 9th inning. But if we are, I feel good because Cano to Bautista, I think is kind of as good as it gets for your 8-9 combination. The problem is we're not going in the 8th and 9th with the lead enough.
But we've got some guys coming back, like you said. And that's on all sides of the ball. We've got I'm blanking on the bullpen arm we've got coming back as well in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, Kittredge.
Yeah,
Andrew Kittredge, our big signing.
Kittredge coming out. That should help strengthen the bullpen. We've got Westberg. We've got Colton Cowser coming out.
Yeah, a lot of guys are starting to come back.
So I am in the same boat as you, as I feel positive about the future. Nothing like this is now. History, baseball is a game all about history. And I do not believe a team has been as bad as we are right now and made it to the playoffs. Definitely not made it to the World Series. A team has not lost by 21 runs and made it to the World Series.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
But
how often, though, has a team, what do we win, like 92 games last year? I don't know what the number is. And then gone
to 50.
Yeah, and then gone. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
And so I think we are kind of the exception with how much we are. I was listening to people talk about the biggest surprise in baseball.
It's the Orioles.
And in terms of negative,
Yes.
yeah, positive, you got the Giants, the Mets.
And
negative, it's the Orioles.
Yeah. And when you look at, do you know which free agent in all of baseball is doing the worst?
Santander's up there.
Santander.
He hasn't been good. He's batting 180.
He's batting 180.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Ramon
for that.
Laureano's covering that. Forget about O'Neill.
But that's not on Twitter, Josh. All I see on Twitter is Kyle Stowers home runs. Why is Santander striking out? Not on my Twitter, right. But Kyle Stowers hitting walk-off grand slams is on my Twitter feed. Explain that one to me.
Because we don't show the things that aren't working. We know about Danny Coulomb. We know about Kyle Stowers. We're not talking about Santander struggling. We're not talking about Corbin Burns struggling. We're talking about the guys who are doing well. And Kyle Stowers, would he even be up with the Orioles right now?
Well, I think with the injuries,
yes,
Cowser, he would have been.
Yes, but he wouldn't have been up last year.
Right.
We had no room for him. And who knows if he would be doing as well as he's doing now if he didn't get the time last year.
But the other question is, Josh, who knows if he'd be doing this well with our hitting coach? A lot of Josh,
yes.
Cody Ash, our hitting coach, he was the hitting coordinator last year or something. We fired the hitting coach and put him in that position. It's notable. I don't know what to make of this. This is one of life's mysteries. Why did the Ravens fire Justin Tucker? No one will ever know. Why did
we do?
Why does every prospect crush the ball in AAA, get caught up, and stick? We're seeing the same thing now. Kobe Mayo.
Yes.
We saw it last year. We see it this year again. We saw it last year with Jackson Holiday as well. Why do these prospects hit really well at AAA, make the jump? And I know Buck Showalter also talks about how hard the jump is from AAA to the majors, but other teams and players do this and have success. It seems like this is now, it's not one or two times. This is like a recurring theme with the Orioles that young players consistently struggle in the majors. Is this a hitting coach problem or something else? Like, why do young players struggle when they get caught up to the majors?
Well, we hear all the time that the jump from AA to AAA is the hardest. And then AAA to the majors is not easy, but it's not supposed to be the hardest.
Right, because you have some major leaguers in AAA. You don't really have that in AA.
Correct, and you get some spring training time against these guys and stuff. So I can't explain it except for the pressure. And I mean, Kobe Mayo did strike out at the end of the game yesterday on a bad call. That ball was way out of
Josh. The umpiring. Isn't there stats about how the Orioles have been screwed the most with the umpiring?
I think so. I believe I read that as well.
I feel like every game, and I know I'm a homer, but there's borderline calls that go against Orioles every stinking game.
Do you know how many perfect games the umpires have called in all of baseball this year?
I would say 2.
There are 2. And people are impressed that we have already had 2 this year.
Yeah.
That's how bad umpiring is.
Yeah, just get a freaking challenge system already.
Even the challenge with Jackson Holiday at second base earlier in this game.
How was that overturned?
I don't know how it was overturned because every view on my television showed the glove hitting the bag, or his hand hitting the bag, the glove then hitting the ground, and then hitting Jackson. But somehow they saw enough to overturn. I will never understand umpiring. I am pro PitchCom. Not PitchCom. Digital, whatever they call the computer umps.
Yeah, the challenge system, or you're pro.
ABS,
not
the ABS system.
Not even challenge system.
The ball strike system.
Completely take the umpires away and do ABS.
Yeah. Is it the AB system? Yeah, automatic balls and strikes. The ABS.
Yeah. I'm not a conspiracy theorist like you are, Josh. But if I was, someone has it out for us for the Orioles.
I'm not a baseball conspiracy theorist.
Okay. You would think, well, maybe you should be, because the umpiring this year has been kind of ridiculous. And the Jackson Holiday example was kind of a classic example, but there's been so many balls and strikes calls that I feel like have been borderline, and they always go against us, at least more often than they should. And if it was the Ravens, they would be writing letters to the commissioner to protest. I don't know if Michael Elias is writing letters to the commissioner, but he should be. So
yeah,
that's another small factor that doesn't account for
Well, have
in
you
totality.
seen? We love, like I said, like you said, you're pointing out Danny Coulomb. Have you seen how DL Hall and Joey Ortiz have been doing for the Brewers?
No, I assume DL Hall is on the injured list, but I don't know for sure.
You are correct. He is on the injured list.
Yeah, poor
And
guy.
Joey Ortiz is batting a whole 175.
Mm.
So it's not like, hey, they leave the Orioles and then suddenly these players figure out the health thing and figure out how to play baseball.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot about Connor Norby either. I mean, we saw Kate Povich pitch yesterday with Cano pitch. We got him for Jorge Lopez. Jorge Lopez has, I think, been on like 4 teams since we traded him. Now he's with the Nationals.
Connor Norby is batting 226 with 1 home run.
Yeah. So if you trade 10 prospects, one of those prospects hits, that's the only prospect you ever hear about the rest of your life, right? You don't hear about the other 9 that didn't work out.
Right. Well, you hear
That's how
about
that
Kyle
works.
Stowers and his 6 home runs and 302 batting average.
Yeah, because
That's
if
what
you
you hear
think
about.
about all the prospects we traded, Kyle Stowers so far has been the only one who's really having success this year, I guess, right?
I think so. Of recent, yes. Of the recent guys we've traded, correct.
Yeah, Joey
The
Ortiz
Michael
had some
Eismans.
success last year. DL Hall had a little success before he got injured.
Yes.
I really like DL Hall. I hope he gets healthy, figures it out. I'm a DL Hall guy.
I like DL Hall as well as yeah, I met him once. Neat guy.
Yeah, I met him too. I like
Local
him.
guy.
Yeah. Has connections to Macon, Georgia as well.
Yep. Connections to where my wife's
Warner
family is from
Robins.
and where your family is. So
Yeah.
I like the guy. I hope he succeeds. And but I'm not ready to. My point is, just because Kyle Stowers is doing well, does not mean I'm ready to blame the Orioles and blame the hitting coach. And I know that sounds ridiculous because I'm ready to fire Brandon Hyde,
Yeah.
but it's more because of those post-game conferences that I want to punch him in the face.
Well, and I'm ready. If you want to hire Matt Holliday to become the hitting coach right now, I would not be opposed to
All right.
that. Apparently,
Question.
Matt Holliday gave Jackson Holliday some advice, and Jackson
Yeah.
Holliday has been
Good.
in fuego since that advice.
And yes, if we hire Matt Holliday, can we do some type of like a who did this in the NFL? Can we manipulate the draft and say Ethan will not sign anywhere except for the Baltimore organization?
Maybe we have Ethan, we have Matt talk to Ethan and say, just be a cocky jerk in all of the interviews.
Is it
And maybe he drops to the 4th round.
right? Is it Carson Palmer who refused to sign with the Baltimore Colts? No,
John Elway is
John
the
Elway.
famous guy.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking John Elway, which then
famously
probably led
refused.
to the Colts leaving Baltimore because
Yes.
of John Elway refusing to come to Baltimore. Can we do that with Ethan Holliday?
Yeah. Or are we tanking this year and we convince Ethan Holliday to go to college for a year and then we're in position to draft Ethan Holliday?
The next year?
Yeah, next year.
Well, we might be doing that accidentally.
Yeah.
Do you put any of this on the training staff that we have so many injuries? Like, is it bad luck or are we doing something wrong in Baltimore?
Yeah, I don't know. That's when you get the injuries and especially pitching injuries, it's so complicated. I mean, I had someone talk to me, Josh, and because I have Silas playing travel ball, and he was talking to me about how, this is why all the injuries in baseball happen because these kids are playing travel ball and they're playing baseball year round.
Right.
And I would argue saying, you don't think Jim Palmer was playing baseball every day at the age of 7? I bet he was out there in the neighborhood playing baseball every day. I would say he will also play basketball in the fall. And maybe football. Yeah, I agree.
And I think he's out playing more things. I don't have a problem with playing travel ball young. I do think you should mix in other sports with your kids because playing basketball, playing football, playing soccer all works your body in different directions that then makes you a better baseball player.
Well, yeah, you see so many good baseball players who were good either football players or basketball players. Gunnar Henderson's a great example. He's a great basketball player.
Did you? I enjoyed. Did you see on the game today? They showed the reaction ball that our infielders have been playing with.
No, I don't know about the reaction ball.
It's a little ball that has all these bumps on it. So when you throw it, it bounces in any direction. And it was fun that they were showing it on the broadcast today because it is the exact same balls that I purchased 5 of and I was using with my Little League team.
Oh, really?
So I might need to send some up to Silas now that the Orioles are doing it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a
Orioles are
stamp
doing
of approval.
Yeah. It's just with injury stuff, it's so hard to pin down why, right? Like, is it
Yeah, it's
over
impossible.
preparation? Is it too hard working out? Is it, it's just so hard to define a reason for what, because it's not like everyone has the same injury either, right? Like, they're all different injuries. And so maybe two are fluke injuries and one's a problem with the training regimen or something. I don't know. Josh, if we can transition here a little bit, we went to our first to Camden Yards for the first time this year. Can we talk?
Yes.
Can we unpack a little bit our experience going to Camden
Yeah.
Yards for the first time this year?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's
You're-
talk about.
You are now back in Florida. When did you get back in Florida? You were in Virginia for a while.
I came back on Monday.
Okay.
We did a little recap of the Oriole game on the Michael Mayer show on Monday.
Okay.
Did you catch that recap?
I did.
Okay. It was more about you than the
Yeah,
game.
I thought you were. Can I just say I thought you were very nasty and unfair towards me, very nasty
About which
on-
part?
on an area that I wasn't there to defend myself. The way you described the events that took place, I thought was very unfair
You know
in the
what?
description.
I will have you on to defend yourself if you would like. We will talk after the show about your availability.
Yeah.
So,
No, I was fine with the conversation you guys had. You made one side comment that you think I do this to prove somehow that I am
yes,
no more than other
100%.
people.
1,000%.
And I think that is Josh, that's so
1000%.
stupid and says nothing and not at all.
You
Okay.
said, you told us you do this because there's nothing better than showing up to the airplane when the gates open and everyone's already boarded. Like you're
yes,
the king.
I like to
come on in.
arrive at the gate when the gates are open,
This
so you
is
walk
like-
right on the plane.
This is like
That's
the guy.
not a crazy take.
This is like the guy that likes to show up to the party 15 minutes late so that everyone turns and looks at him as he walks in.
No, Josh, two points about that. One point is I don't like to walk in after everyone has been sitting down. I like to walk in when boarding is happening because who likes to sit in the airport for an hour just sitting there? Secondly, the boarding period is not like a 3-minute window. It's like, you know how long it takes people to walk in and sit on the plane? That's like a 30, 40-minute process. So I have a large window in which I can arrive to still walk in while they're boarding. So I don't think it's a ridiculous take.
I still think you are stubborn and you stick to these takes to try to prove someone wrong.
No, here's what
the fact
I
that
do.
the light rail broke down and I had to give you a ride to BWI made my night.
I think that I knew, and that, Judge, this is why.
That's why you didn't want to take the ride.
That's exactly right.
You'd
And when
rather
you
miss your
first
plane.
offered a ride,
You
I
said no.
refused. I refused. I would rather sit there, not knowing, because the first light rail train came, and we were taking the light rail. This is after Sunday's game. We were taking the light rail back to the airport, and the first light rail came, and it was the BWI one, like it said, BWI train arriving. And then when it arrived, the train said, like, it didn't say, it says like finished service or something. And it stood there, it just sat there. And everyone with their luggage just waiting to get on.
End of service.
Okay, end of service. And it sat there for like maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Everyone in their luggage is like saying, like, what's the deal? And then it just goes off. And then there's a train for Cromwell or something, but there's no other BWI train. And there's another BWI train, according to their website, coming every 30 minutes.
Yes.
So I'm going to wait another 20 minutes. And what if that one's is end of service? So obviously, Josh is leaving. I should take the ride. But I know if I take Josh's ride,
Yes.
I'm not going to hear the end of it because he was giving me a hard time already about taking the light rail and waiting until the last minute to get on the light rail and all this stuff. And
Yes.
was it unfair to Silas to drag him around with a 50-pound backpack all over Baltimore? The one thing I would have done different is we stayed at a Marriott that was like, I don't know, not quite a mile away, maybe like 7/10 of a mile. And there was a Marriott closer. So I think in retrospect, I should have brought our bags to the closer Marriott and asked, because I think it's reasonable, right, to ask a closer Marriott to hold your bags, even if you're staying at the further away Marriott.
No. What you should have done is just stayed at the closer Marriott.
No, but that was like twice as much, Josh.
I don't think they're gonna hold your bag.
They'll hold. No, if I see it at one Marriott, I say, hey, listen, I'm staying at the other Marriott. Can you just hold my bags at this Marriott?
I
You
don't
think they would
think
do
so.
that?
No, because they're
Behind their
probably
front desk?
franchises or something.
What if I was a Bonvoy member? Do you think that would influence the
I don't know what that
discussion?
is. Is that their like
That's the
frequent
Marriott
sleeper?
Yeah, the Marriott service.
Oh,
whatever.
okay. Anyway, let's talk about the game. I'll have you on to defend yourself, but let's talk about
Okay,
Camden
just
Yards.
one more point about the travel, Josh.
Yes.
The light rail and all
Yes.
that stuff. What two more points? One is, for me, it's not about being better. It is about I enjoy like the experience of it, and I like the kind of the unknowns. Will the light rail show up? Like it's kind of an adventure for me, and I kind of like that, and I enjoy that part of traveling. The being flexible, the things changing, that things can kind of get hard, and you got to figure it out. I kind of like that part of traveling.
Yes. I don't
Um,
think Silas does.
Well, no, Silas. I mean, if you ask a kid who's 7, would you rather take the train or get in a car? He's going to choose the train every time. Like he loves the light rail
All
and likes taking the train. He was like almost missing our flight, was making him lug the bag around all of Baltimore.
Yes.
That was unfair, and that became a little bit stressful for him. And so I feel a little bit bad about that. And I was going to make one other point, and now I forget what it was. So we can go anyway. We can talk about the game now.
You know, Silas struggled to get the bobbleheads in his backpack.
Yeah.
So you
Well, because part of the thing is we're flying Spirit
Yes.
and Frontier.
so you don't want to pay for a thing.
You got to fit it in your backpack. We're
Yes.
just taking our personal belongings,
Yes.
our backpack, and so we got a lot of stuff in this backpack.
So I had 3 bobbleheads. You know what I did with mine?
Yeah, because you just took a backpack too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to the UPS store and I mailed them,
Oh, did you?
and they arrived at my house today for $20.
I was thinking of asking you if you had room to carry ours, but we ended up fitting ours in there.
Yeah, I could have mailed them with me.
Yeah, but Silas needs to work on his packing. I opened his bag at the hotel. He had like 3 thick hardcover Dogman books. I was like, "What are you doing with 3 Dogman books?"
He wants to
3
read.
Well, all
All that
and
time on the light rail.
okay. And we got it. He said he needed a book for the flight or whatever, so I bought him actually Who's Me, these kids' books of Aaron Judge, and he read the Aaron Judge book. So and that was a really thin cover. So,
So
like,
the
why did you
Dogman
need all
book
these?
was just
hardcovers?
added weight.
Yeah, added weight. So we need to work on the packing stuff on with
All right.
Silas. But he knows what he signs up for when he
All
comes.
right, so
traveling
Camden
with me.
Yards 2025.
Yes.
All right. Positives, negatives? Where
Yeah.
do you want to start?
I have 2 things I want to talk about. And I don't know if you had one is the value meal, and the other is the home run porch. Those are my 2
Okay.
takeaways.
All right.
So let's start
Did-
with the home run porch
Did you see the renderings and announcements for 2026?
of the
vi-
jumbotron,
Yeah, the
which
larger
actually is
Jumbotron.
bigger than the Hilton. I think from the
Well, I
rendering.
believe what it is that they are just getting rid of the 2 advertisements on each side of the Jumbotron
Yeah.
and making the entire thing the 2 screens. They keep talking about how it's 2.5 times larger, but we currently have 2 Jumbotrons there, and then
Okay.
we'll have 1. So is it really just a half size larger? Is what I've been trying to figure out.
Well, I
don't-
like all the pictures with this huge jumbotron, and then I read the description. It's like it'll be the 12th biggest or
That's
13th biggest, like somewhere in the middle
why.
in terms of jumbotron.
I'm glad you said that because that annoyed me. Why would you want to be the 12th largest? Like
You want to
if
be
we're
first, don't you?
If we're the 12th largest and we're going to be stuck with this Jumbotron for another 30 years,
Yeah.
don't we want to be the first or at least
Yeah.
in the top 10?
Top 10 at least. I know it was weird. We were like in the middle.
Right. And it's totally, when you look at the renderings, it's advertisement to advertisement of the current setup. They're not expanding it any more wider. It's not
Right.
any taller.
Right.
It's
It's
just
just-
pretty disappointing.
Well, it's still better without the advertisements than just the jumbotron.
It's better with it's
And
better.
presumably it'd be a better screen.
It's better and it's 4K and it's brighter. And I'll tell you what, that Sunday game was hard to see the screen.
Yeah.
So
Well-
I get that. And the out of town scoreboard's being replaced with 4K as well.
Okay.
But again, no size change. All right.
But
let's
a new
talk
sound
about-
system too, right? That's still in the works.
Yeah, because with the upgraded sound system this year, guys, if you haven't been, all they did was they put speakers on each side of the Jumbotron. That's the only thing they did.
They should just. I got one of those mini Bluetooth speakers. They should
Yeah.
give everybody like a mini Bluetooth speaker when they walk in
It
that they
made
can
it
use for the sound.
it made it slightly better.
Yeah.
But that better be a whole lot better next year. All right.
So home run
So-
porch is cool though.
Yeah, home run porch.
On Friday, we sat in section 78, which is part of the home run porch section. We sat in row 1. Great seats. Not as good as 336, but still really good seats. And you're able then, if you have a child or someone who looks under 12, to take that child or person that looks under 12 down into that porch area, which was not, and even watching TV, it's never full. There's always a lot of open spaces. And Silas really enjoyed going down there and being able to run back and forth. I think it's a great idea.
I like that they limit you to having to sit in that section.
You'd like
in order
that
to go down there, because that's how it doesn't stay crowded.
Yes.
And that's how you don't then annoy the people who sit in those sections, because like there's limitations. It's not like
at one point
seats
a mom brought down like 10 kids who were clearly from a different section, and they were kicked out, which I think was a good move. I did feel a little bad for the usher whose job it was to tell people this is only because there's no signage. It's not clear unless you read the website like I did, and that's why we sat partly in section 78, because I wanted to go to the home run porch. But there's not any signage there that's saying that those home run porch is just for those sections. So it was up to the usher, who repeatedly had to tell people, no, you have to be in this kind of, see your ticket, you have to be in this section.
Yes. I still think the home run porch goes away after this year.
You do, to be replaced with what? A bar.
With something where they can make money.
Yes.
Because they're not making any money off of this, where they could take the same, the bar seats that we have on the center field wall. Yeah. And they could put the same seats right down there on the home run porch, and they could charge
$100.
They could charge so much for those to sit right on the fence.
Yeah.
And there's still a gap. There's still about a foot gap between the fence and that home run porch.
Right.
So it stops you. They can go ahead and put drunks there and not worry too much about interference.
Right. You can't reach over. It's hard to reach over and take a home run.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. One of my complaints about Camden Yards, especially since I've been to Truist Park, who they have like a whole portion of the stadium dedicated to kids.
Yes, the kids stuff.
The lack of kids stuff at Camden Yards. A couple blow-ups, the playground for younger kids, but
I don't
for
think
like
they
a
have
kid
the blow-ups anymore, do they?
No, they did. We did it, but it's just like, ball toss and like throw. It was it's very much it's the same blow-ups they have at a single A game, right? There's really no difference in the major than like a single A. So it's lame. And so I appreciate that they're doing something targeted specifically for kids. If they take it away, and I don't know if they will, but if they take it away, I hope they don't do it until they have other kids stuff. And I think isn't that in the works too, Josh, for 2026? Some more kids stuff?
I hope so. I'm not sure, but I hope so. But I do think the home run porch is a neat area. I just think they're gonna sell tickets and make it for grown-ups.
Okay, we'll see. For now, I like how it is. I like the home run porch. I think it's for kids. Kids have fun running around there. Better access to balls.
Also get away with renting it out for like corporate events, bachelor parties, group events type things where you have a rowdy crowd in there and stuff that don't need seats.
I don't know, because you see that on TV. That's what the suites are for, when you can't see them up there.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
But I think they'll find a way to make money. Speaking of money, the value menu.
Yeah, the value menu.
I partaked in a hot dog from the value menu and some pretzels, but I also had a hot dog from the standard menu.
How did they compare?
I think I'll just get the standard hot dog.
Yeah.
I
would agree with you.
They are not the worst hot dogs. They're not Toronto level hot dogs.
But
they're not good.
I had a bite of Silas's hot dog on the value menu. I think that's about as I think that's the worst hot dog I've ever had.
Well, they're better. They are,
and I haven't had the Toronto hot dog.
Yeah,
but it was just like a not hot, cheap hot dog. I mean, it was it was bad.
Yes, it wasn't a good hot dog.
Yeah.
So I would go ahead and spend the extra $4 or something and get the real one.
Yeah, I'm a very cheap person, but I actually agree with you on this. I would go with the regular price hot dog if I were to purchase a hot dog.
And if we're breaking down food, now that I remember, I had both the cinnamon pretzels and the salted pretzels.
Yes.
Over the weekend.
I think Silas had about 7 of those.
Yes.
of those pretzels.
The salted pretzels were fine. They were good.
Yeah.
The cinnamon and sugar pretzels, I ate a few and gave the rest to Silas.
Yeah. And Silas had one cinnamon sugar pretzel and the rest, about 6 of the salted pretzels. He was a
Yes.
huge fan of salted pretzel
Yes.
on the value menu.
So
Yeah.
I would stick with those. Those are good. That was a good value, I felt like.
Yeah. The other thing that Silas got was, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. This is another change in the stadium, the refillable soda machines.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
This is something that I think is in a lot of sports venues.
Yes. I know
This is not an
Tampa
oral
has it.
invention.
Yes.
This when we go to Atlanta Hawks game, they have this, and it's nice. You can purchase one drink and fill up your drink.
They've got an ad for the value menu on the broadcast now. Even in the picture, the hot dog looks bad.
Yeah. Well, you can't do much with a bad hot dog. The only problem with the value menu is you can buy a refillable soda, which is great, $4, and you
Yes.
can refill your soda as much as you want. So I got Silas the refillable soda. They don't give you lids or straws. You just on your own.
Right.
And Silas, when he was walking, he would fill it up to the top. By the time it got to the to section 342 where we were sitting,
Yes.
it was a little less than half was in it because
Without
he was
taking a sip.
splashing it around all. There's
you
no
pointed-
lid. You
you
gotta have a
pointed
lid for
it
those kids.
You pointed that out to us on Sunday.
It was hilarious, but also a little bit
And-
annoying.
And did you see when Silas waved bye to Rob as you guys were walking away?
No, I didn't see what happened.
It was perfect because he waved bye with his cup hand and
Yeah.
dumped his entire soda.
He's
out.
not coordinated enough to figure out which hand he should do
Yes.
things with yet.
So he went bye and dumped his Coke all over his seat, which was perfect because we've been watching him all game struggle
Just
with
flush
that
that
cup.
thing around. You gotta have lids. You gotta come on. You gotta have lids for these cups.
And I'll tell you, I went ahead and bought I believe they've raised their prices, but the souvenir cup is now $12.
Okay.
And so it's a little expensive, but it's enough soda that it's worth me paying the extra so I don't have to go back and forth as much.
Yeah, I do feel the pressure with like going to Hawks games, and I purchased the sodas there. I didn't get it at the Camden Yards, but I felt the urge. You know how I am to get my money's worth. So I ended up drinking like so much more soda than I would normally drink, just so I could feel like I could pay $10.
Well, what I did is I drank 2 sodas and then I got one for the road.
Yeah, it's always a good one for the road.
One on the way out.
Yeah. The other item on I get the value meal that I took advantage of. This is the one item I took advantage of, is the $5 beers.
Yeah,
and it was
how did that
inconsistent in
compare?
terms of selection, and it's a 12 ounce, which is like a normal ounce. Like I don't need a 24 ounce beer. So for me, $5 for a 12 ounce beer. I mean, that's what you pay at a restaurant. You pay $6 for a 12 ounce beer.
All right, so not too bad.
It felt like a good deal for me, and they had decent. They had Stella in there. They had Blue Moon. I'm not a Blue Moon guy, but they had Blue Moon as an option as well. They had Sierra Nevada, I think, was the other option. So decent beer options for $5.
Yeah, and I think some seltzers too.
Yeah, I don't kind of go that route, so I really didn't check that out. But so yeah, I'm a fan. As someone who is
You also
trying
got
to
the
make
nachos,
this
I
thing
saw,
affordable. I did, yes. Silas is a huge fan of nachos, so we also got the nacho, and I got peanuts for $2.50. $2.50. It's a small bag, but I don't need a big bag of peanuts either.
I felt like the $2.50 peanut bag was enough to like give you that I need to eat peanuts at a ball game experience.
Yes, yeah, and it was
Like
probably
that
about
urge.
like less than half the size of the $6 bag or whatever.
Yeah,
But I felt good about. So I think for people who are like obnoxiously cheap, this is a good route. You get less value, or you get
Or
less
just
quality
families.
and less amount, but it's enough to like, yeah. And part of it too, Josh, is when you
Yes.
take family members to a game, you
expensive.
want to say, yeah, and you want to say, listen, we can buy something at the game. We can buy some food at the game, and I don't really want to buy them,
right.
huge things that are really expensive. So if I can buy them something small and say, yeah, listen, guys, we ate at the game. You had this pretzels, you had a hot dog, we had some popcorn, and I spent $20 instead of $100. I feel good about that.
No, I think that's a big positive.
And can I say too, Josh, in a related note, one of the lines I went to, they were acting like they were freaking Chick-fil-A. They had like 3 people taking orders during the line.
Okay.
I don't know if you experienced that.
No.
But I thought the lines was some of the best and kind of well-maintained lines that I can remember ever being at Camden Yards. And there were some good crowds. I didn't wait in any super long lines.
No, these were large crowds all weekend because
The
of
lines that were there
giveaways.
moved quickly.
And I had no problems with any lines.
Yeah. And we never say that. We
And
complain here all the time about the lines at Camden Yards.
And a tip. for the value menu. You don't have to go to the value menu booths. Some of the regular booths also sell the value menu items.
That's true. I do get confused at the value menu in terms of, and this is not just the value menu, in terms of the concessions.
Okay.
In where to tip, because to give a tip. I like to tip for outside organizations who are there raising money. I have a friend who does this.
I agree, but were any of those doing it for the
one of the
menu?
meal deals was like asking for a tip, and she's like, and she told me like I'm not. She doesn't work Camden Yards. She works for this organization.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
And so I tip to them, but it's never clear to me. And I have a friend who does this too, who works and collects tips as a volunteer for her organization. And so I like to tip those places.
Yes, if there's an organization,
there's no signage. It's not clear to me which ones are not Oriole employees,
right,
and which one are. I wish there was kind of be clear about that.
Yes, if it's a fundraiser for some event, there should be a big sign, because I didn't see anything, so I didn't tip. Because my standard tip-in rule is you have to leave the counter and come serve me.
Oh, is that your rule?
Yeah, if I'm going up there and I'm pressing all the buttons and I'm taking my food and
even the self-service that asks for a tip.
Exactly.
I just want to I want to do a Brent Hyde on you, punch the machine in the face. Yeah.
If you want to tip.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, it was so great just to be back at Camden Yards. I had a packed weekend because of Michael Mayer show stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just so relaxing and so rejuvenating just to be back in Camden.
Yeah, I agree. We had a great time. We went Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Snuck in, it was 3 games. We weren't there all. We got late Friday game and left early the Sunday game, but and Saturday was great. We went to the Babe Ruth Museum. I tried, instead of going to like the aquarium or the Maryland Science Center or Port Discovery, which I know are the big kind of kids
Port
stuff.
Discovery still around?
Yeah, it's still around. It's still kicking.
Okay. I took Emma to that when she was a kid.
Yeah, I took my kids when they were younger, and I thought about doing it, but it was just Silas. I don't know. I didn't know how long he could play there by himself. But also, I thought like those places are expensive.
Yes.
What if I just hit up the small museums?
Okay.
So I went to the Babe Ruth Museum, which is really cool. A shout out to the I don't know what the word is. Tour guide. He's not really a guide. The museum expert.
The museum curator.
I don't know if he's curating things. But he's like he was telling about the kind of history of stuff in the museum. Mike was his name, and he was an older guy who could kind of a baseball savant, had a memory of all these things, of baseball and records and all that stuff. So really cool to talk to Mike about kind of the history of the Orioles. And the Babe Ruth Museum is small but really nice. But then we went to the
was it Mike Gibbons?
I don't know. He just introduced himself as Mike.
All right. Well, Mike Gibbons is the director emeritus.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been him. I mean, this guy knew everything there was to know about the museum and about Babe Ruth and larger than that, kind of baseball. So he was cool, and it's cool to Silas, because Silas had read a bunch about Babe Ruth, and to hear a lot of the stories confirmed was kind of cool. And
was it this guy?
Can you zoom in a little bit? Can we get a close up of that picture? Oh, the guy on the left?
Yeah, the old guy.
I don't know.
All right.
I can't say for sure. I can't.
Right.
Yeah, I can't say for sure. Can't say for sure. But anyway, so we had a good time there, and then we went to we were just walking downtown. Our plan was to go. You can go on those ships and submarines around the Inner Harbor, and Sass wanted to do that. But a lot of those
have the little. Did you see Mr. Trash Wheel? Did you take him to go see that?
No. And the ships and submarines were shut down for some events, so we couldn't even tour the ships and submarines. That was disappointing. So we went and saw the this American Flag Museum, where the War of 1812 and Francis Scott Key, and when he wrote, Star Spangled Banner, the flag that was on top of Fort McHenry, kind of the history of that flag and how it was made, and that was kind of interesting. But again, each of these museums, and then we went to the top of the Trade Center there where you can see all over Baltimore. But each of those things was like $15. So it was like the same price as going kind of to a big museum as going to each of these little individual museums. I don't know how these little museums, by the way, stay in business because I feel like we were the only people at each of these museums and each of these places. But Silas had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun. And then the games themselves, it's just great to be back at Camden Yards. Great to walk around Utah Street. Great to just be around a bunch of other diehard O's fans. It was a great weekend.
A 336er came up to me, and I did not get his name. Unfortunately, he grabbed me real quick in the concession area in the concourse and just said, "I love the podcast." So
love that.
Thanks. I then got another 336er texted me. I got a message from him, man. I don't think I shared this with you.
No.
After Sunday's game, I took you to BWI.
Yes.
After BWI, I needed dinner, and I'm in Glen Burnie, so I said, I'm going to Ann's Dairy Cream.
Okay.
And I go to Ann's Dairy Cream, I grab a bunch of food, I pull out, and my phone goes, ding, and I look, and it is a message from Zach Moore from Pigtown Sports.
Okay, yeah.
And the message just says, were you in Ann's Dairy Cream?
Oh, that's funny.
And I said, yes. And then it was, well, why are you I said, yeah, you should have said hi. Well, why were you in Glen Burnie?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to, if I was in the same spot, I wouldn't say hi because you don't know for sure. Like, why would you see someone who lives in Florida in Glen Burnie?
I totally understand. It made no sense for me to be there, but it was cool to be spotted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
So.
That's cool. Yeah. So all in all, a great weekend. Even if the Orioles only won one of the three.
Yeah, still a good weekend. I think that's something that many of the younger Oriole fans have not experienced, where we have experienced a lifetime of Orioles losing at Camden Yards. So we don't need the Orioles necessarily to win for it to be a great time at the Yard.
Yeah.
So
and for kids, I mean, I saw not just Silas, a lot of kids out there. Kids had great time at the Yard too. It's just there's something fun about going to the game.
And to be fair, you and Silas left before it got ugly.
That's true. It was still a good offensive back and forth game.
Yeah.
When we left. Yeah. I will, I'm not going to go into it, but I could go all old man, Josh. I feel like this traveling experience with Silas.
Yes.
I just felt like I also was making a lot of old man observations about travel. Like, first of all, I don't know when this happened, Josh, but I guess I'll just say this in a general way.
Pajamas in the airport?
People are just way too comfortable.
Yes.
Way too comfortable.
Pajamas in the airport is my old man frustration when I go to the airport.
Yeah, Josh, we sit down. The young lady next to me where I'm sitting down at already has her shoes off in her seat, like all curled up, like she's at home watching her Netflix in her living room. Like, what are we doing here, people? We need to go back to people dressing up when they go out in public.
I am so jealous of the old time air flights where everyone's in a suit and a tie and a fedora.
Yes. I don't even feel comfortable wearing shorts or like sweatpants. Certainly flip-flops. What are you walking around flip-flops on an airplane? I can't stand people showing their toes. Flip-flops, get out of here with this nonsense.
I will say I do fly. I wear pants and I wear closed toes.
Okay.
Every time. I do. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't even wear shorts.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to show leg. I'm wearing jeans and a nice shirt. That's what I'm wearing. I think that's appropriate. Everyone should wear. And there's other things like I found myself. I had several nice conversations at the Atlanta airport, and some people came up and talked to Silas too about baseball. And I've been on a positive side. As an old man, I like those kind of impromptu conversations you have with people who are kind of. There's a lot of waiting happening.
Yes.
In the traveling experience, and so it's kind of fun to hear other people's stories and kind of why they're traveling and what are they doing. And I kind of enjoyed that, which is kind of, again, I would not have said that I think 10 years ago. This is more of the old man me.
Yeah, I agree.
And also having Silas with me to kind of have him over here and take part of these conversations with other people. I think it's good for him too.
Well, and I think having Silas there is the icebreaker, where people will talk to Silas and they're not going to talk to you.
That's true. A couple of conversations started with Silas, asking Silas if he was going to some Orioles games or whatever. Yeah. And also like wearing the Orioles gear. Like we were all decked in the Orioles gear. That was the icebreaker too. People want to talk about kind of what's happening with the baseball team. That's really how it was. So, but yeah,
But a good weekend.
great weekend. Great weekend. I don't know when I'm going to be able to go back up to Baltimore again, but yeah, excited about it.
Awesome.
It's fun.
All right. Well, I think that's a good time to close it.
Yeah, let's
With
wrap
some
up.
Positive talk.
Yeah. Oh, we're an hour in. That was fast. All right. And we're listen, I don't know how this game's going to end. I think we're going to win this game. I'm calling it right now, Josh. We're going to come back and win this game.
I hope
We
so.
have it. This has not been the comeback kids. We don't come back anymore.
No.
Mostly because we're down by 8 runs going into the 7th inning.
But as we end, it's 3-2.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be a comeback win. And at Anaheim, we're going to get healthy.
Yeah, we got Eflin back. What's the outlook for Cowser and Westberg?
Westberg is doing rehab this week at Norfolk. Sometime this week is going to start.
Okay.
O'Neill will be back in Anaheim. Who else? Cowser? I don't know. I don't have any updates on Cowser.
All right. Well, anyway, we can only get better.
Yeah, it can only go up from here. All right. If you enjoy the show, we appreciate you listening. Subscribe, like on all your social media platforms. And if you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. It helps other people find out about the show. So we appreciate that. You can follow us on X. You can follow me on X at Section336. You can follow Josh on X
at Josh Soroka.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's.